Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. This right in front of you is JS Mentor. In this demo, I'll walk you through this web app and explain the architecture and show you how the compiler and the AI assistant works. JS Mentor is a single tier client application that delegates auth and AI to third party APIs, which lets us keep the app lightweight while leveraging powerful services. Now you must have noticed that I have said single tier application, but what does that mean? In layman terms, a single tier application is like a self-contained tool that runs entirely on your device or in your browser. That's no separate server, no doing the heavy lifting. The user interface, the logic, and the data handling all happens in one place. Think of it as a single appliance that does everything itself rather than a system where one machine talks to another to get work done. So, a single tier or single tiered application is an architectural pattern in which the presentation layer, the application logic, and any transient data processing are co-located on the client side itself with no dedicated backend tier under the developer's control. All core functionalities execute within the client environment, which is the browser itself, and any external capabilities like authentication, AI, or storage are provided via third-party services rather than a self-hosted server. This model simplifies the deployment and iteration, but shifts concern for security and scalability and sensitive data handling to the client and to the external providers. So in case of our project, what we are doing is we are actually delegating the capabilities like authentication and AI to third party services, and we actually have deployed it as of now on Netlify. So you can see this Netlify URL as well. So talking about the homepage, let's go to the homepage. So we have a short homepage over here, and the navigation is pretty much simple. You have the learning paths, which are obviously these. Uh, we have covered from JavaScript core to fundamentals, front-end frameworks, and also we have covered full stack architecture, Node.js, technologies and trends. And all these are actually working links, and we have contained some information about what these are and some code examples over here. So there is also in the nav bar, you can see that there is a compiler, there is an AI help, there is an about page, which we can go to right now because it is not a protected path. This is public, that means everyone can use it. Then there is one chatbot that we have implemented. If you ask it anything, is React library or framework of JS. It will actually provide you some theoretical aspect, some theoretical answer over here. There is a short answer. And if you try to read more, it will redirect you to the AI page. But since this AI page is only available to people who have authenticated, it will actually revert us to sign in page so that the user can actually log in and then make queries to the AI. Next, let's actually sign up. So we are actually using Clerk for authentication. Clerk is a very useful tool when you do not want to deal with authentication for a really small project of yours. You can actually delegate a lot of your work to Clerk, and it is actually adapted a lot in the IT world by these companies that you can see down over here. So moving back to our project, so this Clerk actually handles our sign up and the entire flow, including the OAuth providers like Google. So you can actually go ahead and continue with Google itself. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just sign in because I have already signed up once. So I'm going to continue with Google itself. It will ask me which ID do I want to continue with? So I'm going to go ahead with my own, and I'm going to click on continue. This is the entire OpenAuth flow, typical Google that we see in other apps, because this is pretty much the industry standard nowadays. So Clerk will actually handle all of this. So yeah, once we are signed in, the user button appears in the top right section, and protected routes are enforced by a protected route wrapper that checks the Clerk's state and redirects unauthenticated user to the sign-in page. So let us go ahead and go to the code base to actually see how this works. So we are inside our app router. That is what we are using to actually uh, tell the app all the routes that are there. So as you can see, we have added routes over here that are public. So the home page, the about page, the sign in page, the sign up page, these are all public pages and anyone can actually go ahead and use them. Now comes the protected routes. So these contain the JS compiler, the AI part, the JS, and pretty much all of the remaining pages that are there in the learning path itself. So we are not actually exposing all our details to unauthenticated users. So this dashboard itself is not yet created, and we will get back to how we can actually implement a dashboard and personal achievements and progress we can handle over there in dashboard. So now that we have actually signed in, we can access the compiler. So let us actually go ahead and try something on the compiler itself. So as you can see, there is two tabs. One is for output and one is for console. So what happens is when you actually write a message in JavaScript, it is handled in different way. So when you write console.log, it is actually going to be displayed in the console, which is basically like in your browser itself. So you can inspect and go to console. This is where your typical message shows up. So we don't want to actually have the user go to the console every time. So we have just given a tab over here. And there is one tab for output. This is when we actually write document dot. As you can see, there are some suggestions going on over here as we are typing it. So if you go ahead and type document.write, you are going to see this in the output tab and not in the console tab because we have given document.write. So yeah, you can also go ahead and write a function over here, and I'm going to just paste this code now. So what it is doing is it is actually calling the function datetime formatter, and okay, it is passing a date in the particular format and also this locale, and then we are asking for it to format in this particular format. So it is should return as Sunday 11 January 2026 4:15:30 p.m. and what we are actually asking it to check out the date from today. So let us actually go ahead in the console and see if the output is coming. So yes, it is the perfect output that is coming to us. So we capture console output and display it here. If the code throws an error, we catch it and show a sanitized message as well. To prevent infinite loops and heavy CPU usage, we enforce timeouts and plan to move heavier workloads into the web workers or iframe sandboxes for stronger isolation. But that is what we have in store in the future whenever we are working on this again. Let us go back to this AI assistant. And let me just tell you, this is not just simple API wrapper. Well, it is an API wrapper, but it is actually a domain specialized AI assistant. So if you ask it any question, any JavaScript question to be accurate over here, So let us ask it what is JavaScript and click on Ask AI. It is going to give you the answer for it. And this is going to be a huge answer because it is actually trying to explain what is JavaScript, and it is going to be giving the history, the characteristics that are there in JavaScript. But we achieve our domain specificity through two layers actually. So let us talk about these layers later, but let me show you the demo first. So if I'm going to ask it a non-JavaScript related question, so I'm going to just ask it a general question like what is the day to day, and then click on Ask AI. It is not going to answer it. It is going to give us a generalized message that I can only help you with your doubts regarding JavaScript. And it also politely requests the user to actually ask questions about the fundamentals, the ES6 features, or whatever the other frameworks there are related to JavaScript. Now, heading back to the layers thing that I mentioned. So what we are doing is we achieve domain specificity through two layers. First, our prompt to the Groq API instruct the model to only answer the JavaScript related questions and to refuse unrelated queries. So first you can see that the input over here is determine if the following question is related to JavaScript programming, including frameworks like React, Node.js, TypeScript, etc. And reply with only yes or no. And we are actually passing the questions here from the text. And now this text is coming from another this text is actually coming from the front end itself. So whatever the user is typing out, that is being passed as the text. And second layer, the client performs a quick intent check before sending the prompt and validates the response afterwards. So this is actually the second layer. If a user asks a non-JS question, the assistant politely refuses and redirects them to this curated response that we have used in the set response method. So if this first API returns yes or no, based on that, we are actually using the input text and then formulating the response that we should be giving out. Okay, so this is pretty much self-explanatory, I think. And the prompt we are giving Groq API is this one, that you are a JavaScript expert assistant. Answer the following JavaScript related question clearly and helpfully. So the input text is coming over here. So input text is basically the text if we are that we are checking first. So first we are actually calling the API to determine if this question is JavaScript related, and then we are actually copying this into the input text, and then we are checking this prompt out. So this will actually give us the correct response. And at first there was only this AI page on the project, but later on I actually added this chatbot as well. So the chatbot provides quick and contextual help. It can reference the current lesson. I mean, the user can actually go ahead and whatever learning path he is on, like he's, for example, on React basics, and he probably doesn't understand something, he can just go ahead, copy the code and give it to this chatbot itself. Now the thing is, we know that the response from APIs is kind of big, and we can actually go ahead and ask the API to give us some shortened response or a concise response, but then we will be actually having unclear messages or unclear understanding of the user query. So that is why I have done one thing. But whatever question you ask, like what is React, I've asked this question and I'm going to click on send. Now, instead of giving the entire answer over here, which will not be clean, it actually gives you a short answer, a short response. And if you want to read more, you can just click on read more. It will not actually redirect you to the Groq API's own playground or console. It will actually redirect you to this page where the entire response will already be saved. So we are actually saving the state of the response over here, and you can just go ahead and scroll down here. You can see the typical usage. So it has given us the code snippet as well, and you can see the entire understanding over here. So you can go ahead, read it, and make notes of whatever you like to do. So the chatbot is like a lightweight UI that forwards queries to the same domain specialized assistant. So behavior is consistent across the app. Now let us come to the point where we have to talk about the third-party integrations that I mentioned in the beginning of this video. So architecturally, we rely on two main third-party services. So we are using Clerk for authentication, and we are using Groq for the AI assistant. So this design lets us avoid running our own auth servers or AI infrastructure while still delivering a secure and responsive experience. Keys and sensitive config are being managed via an environment variable and Clerk session metadata where possible. So if you want to actually use Groq API, it is a good choice because Gemini is no longer giving out APIs like it used to. So they have actually limited their API usage to their own playgrounds, but they are not actually providing us the API URLs and keys to be used in our own applications. So to summarize, JS Mentor is a single tier client application that delegates auth and AI to third party APIs. The front end contains the UI and the business logic. We mitigate risks by limiting the compiler's execution surface. We are enforcing timeouts. We have validating AI responses and relying on trusted providers for auth and AI. So in the future, I would like to work strongly on sandboxing for the compiler and server-side proxies for sensitive API calls if that is needed. Also, currently, as you have seen, that there are no progress tracking method over here. There is no dashboard for the personalized user experience. So that can also be added in the future. So that is the two of many things that we can actually do to make this website a decent one. So thank you for watching. If you want to try JS Mentor, the deployment link will be in the description below. You can also find the repository link in the description along with the documentation for Clerk and the Groq. I'll be adding those as well. And subscribe for more demos. If you are a developer and want to contribute to this, open an issue or a pull request.